Hello, and welcome back to the original Larry D's Food for Thought. Today, as you know, as usual, we always read from the Old King James Bible. Okay, we'll be reading out of the Old Testament and out of the New Testament, to the law and to the testimony, precept upon precept, line upon line, here a little and there a little. Okay. We also will be going over a few scriptures today concerning the title, Continue to Abide in God's Law, the Commandments. Continue to abide in God's law, the commandments. Okay. I'm going to share these with you right quick. You can jot them down if you like. But yeah, people, I know it's imperative that we continue to abide in the law of God, okay? Because he gave us those laws. You can read them on your own in Exodus, the 20th chapter, and he give you all of them that he had written, and he expect us to keep them and to continue in them even until the end. Okay, we're going to show you today what the fulfilling of the law is. Okay, but you had a lot of people to say, hey, LD, we not under the law now, we under grace now. Tell you something, those people, those guys were standing up there telling you on the first day of the week that you ain't under the law, but under grace, didn't understand what law it was. Okay, because when Paul made that statement, and we're going to read it, when he made that statement, hey, he knew what he was talking about. Okay. And we're gonna show you that. All right. And it wasn't the royal law that he was talking about. All right. But anyway, I'm gonna stop sharing these. We're gonna go ahead and get started with these scriptures here. We're gonna start this in, let's see, Romans, the 13th chapter. And I'm gonna start reading at verse 8. And it reads, owe no man anything but to love one another. For he that loveth another has fulfilled the law. What law? The royal law. Okay. Now, how do I know it was the law? Which is the commandments. Hey, verse 9. For this thou shalt not commit adultery, thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not steal, thou shalt not bear false witness, thou shalt not covet. And if there be any other commandment, it is briefly comprehended in this saying, namely, thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. Okay, so now, if you love your neighbor, you're not going to do anything to harm him. You're not going to steal from him. You're not going to kill him. You're not going to covet his stuff. You know, what's wrong with that? Okay. But people say, no, we ain't under the law. Verse 10, love worketh no ill to his neighbor. Therefore, love is the fulfilling of the law. Said it again, didn't he? Okay. But let's move on. Let's go a little bit further here. Let's go back over here. Still in Romans. We're gonna go to Romans, the 6th chapter. And let's see. I'm gonna start reading at verse 14. And we're gonna start, let me show you. We're gonna read this what Paul wrote here. Okay. Verse 14, and it reads, for sin shall not have dominion over you, for ye are not under the law, but under grace. Okay. Now, Paul did write that, but Paul understood what he was talking about when he wrote that. All right, verse 15. When what then? Shall we sin because we are not under the law, but under grace? God forbid. You see that? All right. Now, let's take a look at this law. Let's go over here to Hebrews right quick and take a closer look at it right here. Okay. Let's go on to Hebrews, the 10th chapter. And I'm going to start reading at verse 1. And it reads, For the law, having a shadow of good things to come, and not the very image of the things, can never with those sacrifices which they offered year by year continually make the comers thereunto perfect. Okay, so what was he talking about here? It's the animal sacrificial law. They offered those sacrifices year by year, daily, every day. Because back in the wilderness, when Israel, Lord had Moses bring Israel out of Egypt, he's out in the wilderness. He gave them the laws, the commandments, the royal law. They kept breaking them. So therefore, the Lord, instead of killing them, he had them to like bring up some of their livestock, and the priest killed it, took some of the blood, went inside the tent before the veil, and sprinkled it 7 times before the veil, but that would absorb their sin. So the Lord, they have to kill them. Okay. That's that animal sacrificial law. Now, excuse me. On your own, you go and read Leviticus 4th chapter, and it'll tell you all about it, break it down, and show you exactly what they did. Okay. Now, let's see. Verse 4. For it is not possible that the blood of bulls and of goats should take away sins. Okay. The Lord had no pleasure in that. All right. Because it's not possible that it could take away sins. All right. But hey, instead of the Lord killing them, he allowed them at that time to kill one of the animals in their stead. All right. But let's go on a little bit further here. Let's go to Galatians right quick and show you this here. Galatians, the 3rd chapter, and we're gonna start reading at verse 21. And it reads, is the law then against the promises of God? God forbid. For if there had been a law given which could have given life, verily righteousness should have been by the law. Okay. So now, if animal sacrifice could give life, then hey, then it should have been uh for righteousness. Okay. All right. But it wasn't. It could not give life. All right. Verse 24. Wherefore the law was our schoolmaster to bring us unto Christ that we should be justified by faith. So that animal sacrificial law was our schoolmaster to bring us unto Christ. So when Christ came, he died on the cross. He was the ultimate sacrifice. Okay. And when he did that, people say all the time, well, Lord, he destroyed that law when he died on the cross. Of course he did. I'm sorry, the law of animal sacrifice. Okay. That was the law that he terminated when he died on the cross. Okay. Because when he died, if you recall, if you're going to read it, the veil of the temple was rent from top to bottom. Now there's no more place to sprinkle the blood. So it is over with. Okay. So that's the law that Paul was talking about that we are not under anymore, the law of animal sacrifice. Okay. Now, let's look a little bit further here. Let's see, 24, verse 10. Yeah, let's go back to verse 10 here, still in Galatians 3rd chapter. Excuse me, I want to read this. Oh, let's see, verse 10. And it reads, for as many as are of the works of the law are under the curse, for it is written, cursed is everyone that continueth not in all things which are written in the book of the law to do them. Okay. So you don't keep these laws, you don't continue in it and to do them. Hey, you got yourself a problem. All right. Cursed are they. All right. But now, excuse me. Let's move on. Let's go back to Romans right quick. I'll show you this here. Let's see. We're going to Romans, the 7th chapter. A quick look at that here. All right. Romans 7. And I'm going to start reading at verse 7. And it reads, what shall we say then? Is the law sin? God forbid. Nay, I had not known sin but by the law, for I had not known lust, except the law had said, thou shalt not covet. Okay, so Paul say, if it wasn't for the law, I wouldn't even know I was sinning. Okay, okay, so if ain't no law, how can I be sin? Right? But let's let's uh let's read on. Let me see. Verse 8. But sin, taken occasion by the commandment, wrought in me all manner of concupiscence. For without the law, sin was dead. See that? So without the law, ain't no sin. All right? Yeah. Let's see. Verse 12. Wherefore, now look at this. Wherefore, the law is holy, and the commandments holy, and just and good. Okay. So now what's holy, just, and good about the animal sacrificial law? Nothing. But God's law, the raw law, is holy, just, and good. Okay. So now let's go a little bit further. Let's turn right over here. We're still in Romans. We're in Romans, the 5th chapter. We read one verse, verse 13, and it reads, For until the law, sin was in the world, but sin is not imputed when there is no law. So if there is no law, there can be no sin. Excuse me, there can be no sin. Okay. So now we talking uh the raw law, the commandments. Okay, so we got to continue to abide in them. All right, even the raw law. Okay, now let's go a little bit further. Let's go back to Hebrews right quick. Let me show you this right quick here. Let's see, Hebrews the 10th chapter. Excuse me. Um, and I'm gonna show you that. Look, if you don't continue in these laws and keeping them, and now that you know the truth, let's see what the Lord had written here. All right, let's see. All right, this is Hebrews 10, verse 26. And it reads, For if we sin willfully, after that we have received the knowledge of the truth, there remaineth no more sacrifices for sins. Okay, so now you know the truth. You know we got to abide in these laws, keep these commandments. Now, but if you don't, what you got to look forward to? What do you got to look forward to? Verse 27, but a certain fearful looking for of judgment and fiery indignation, which shall devour the adversary. Okay, you break these laws, don't keep them, don't abide in them. Tell you what, only thing you got to look forward to is the fiery indignation. And what is that? The lake of fire. Okay, keep that in mind. All right, one more verse here, verse 31. It is a fearful thing to fall into the hands of the living God. Remember that. Okay. All right. Because I'm going to tell you something. You got to learn to fear this God. I'm going to tell you, because he is somebody you do not want to play around with. He gave us those commandments, that raw law, and he intend for us to keep them and abide in them. Okay. Now, let's go a little bit further. Let's go to the old book here right quick. Show you a few things here. I'm going to Psalms 119. And I'm going to start reading at verse 1. And it reads, Blessed are the undefiled in the way who walk in the law of the Lord. Okay. Verse 2. Blessed are they that keep his testimonies and that seek him under the whole heart, your whole mind. Okay. All right. Now, let's go over here to Proverbs right quick. Let me show you this here. Going to Proverbs, let's see, Proverbs, the 3rd chapter. And start reading at verse 1. And it reads, My son, forget not my law. What law? The royal law, even the commandments. Okay. But let thine heart, your mind, keep my commandments. Okay. For the length of days and long life and peace shall they add to thee. So there's great reward in keeping these laws. All right. Let not mercy and truth forsake thee. Bind them about thy neck. Write them upon the table of thy heart, of your mind. All right. So shalt thou find favor and good understanding in the sight of God and man. Trust in the Lord with all thine heart, with all your mind. And lean not unto thine own understanding. In all thy ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct thy path. Okay. Be not wise in thine own eyes. Fear the Lord and depart from evil. Fear God. Better fear this God. Okay. Because he tell you all his book, he tell you better fear him. Okay. But let's go to one last place right here. Let's go over here to Ecclesiastes right quick. We've read this several times, but I'm gonna read it again. So all right, going to Ecclesiastes 12 and start reading at verse 13. And it reads, Let us hear the conclusion of the whole matter. Fear God. Yeah. Fear God and keep his commandments, for this is the whole duty of man. All right. Verse 14, for God shall bring every work into judgment with every secret thing, whether it be good or whether it be evil. Okay. Now, you fear this God, and you fear somebody, you're going to do what they say. He gave you those commandments, even that royal law. It means for you to keep them. It would behoove us all to keep them continuously. Okay. So, with that food for thought, think on these scriptures and words throughout the course of the day. And until next time, peace.